Good afternoon, distinguished faculty, family, friends, and of course, the graduating class of 2019. It is a joy to share this moment with all who come to celebrate with you today. I have racked my heart and my mind over what I should say to you today. As your commencement speaker, it is up to me to utter words of profound wisdom and inspiration. Yet to give such an address is to also walk through a minefield of cliches. So I asked myself, what do I wish I had known at my own high school graduation? What have I learned in the 20 years that have passed between that day and this? The life lessons I will share with you have grounded me and have given me the freedom to live a life of purpose, with roots and wings. My own journey began in an orphanage and has led me to serve our nation as a U.S. soldier in Iraq, experience life in 5 states stretching from California to New York, and work in nearly every capacity across the political spectrum from the grassroots to Capitol Hill. I have achieved many accolades, earned multiple advanced degrees, won hard-fought legislative battles, shaped lives of thousands through public policy, and delivered an historic presidential nomination speech at the 2000 Democratic National Convention. But my deepest satisfaction and my greatest reward has been living authentically and leading a life of service. As an immigrant, combat veteran, adopted daughter of 2 mothers, and as a woman and as a person of color, I live at many intersections of the American story. It is in those intersections that I have suffered the brutality of loss and have celebrated the joy of victory. But more than all else, those intersections have taught me 4 key lessons on living a life of purpose with roots and wings. Roots, lessons that ground you. Lesson 1, write your own story. I was born to an illiterate woman. The first 2 years of my life were spent in an orphanage. I grew up with a severe speech impediment. I was diagnosed with a learning disability in elementary school. Like many of you, the odds were stacked against me. I was counted out, underestimated, and dismissed. Yet despite the low expectations of society, I learned the power of telling my own story on my own terms and in my own words. The great Toni Morrison once said, "If there's a book that you want to read and it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it." And so there are days I scribble furiously. Other days, each word is painstakingly chosen. Some pages are incoherent, and others are neatly organized. But the words and the stories are mine. And still, I write. Our stories allow us to connect with one another, and most importantly, connect with ourselves. Do not let others assign meaning to your lived experience. And as you begin a new chapter in your life's journey, recognize the power you have in writing your own story. Lesson 2, know that you are enough. At times, you may stumble in the pursuit of purpose, but never, ever doubt your worth. I want to share a story illustrating the power of self-worth when confronted by mediocrity. I was 1 month away from graduating with my 3rd master's degree. A coworker who I saw once a week and was cordial with knew I was graduating and asked about my job hunt. Let's call her Becky. I told her there was a position that caught my eye and, in passing, named the title and organization. Becky stopped what she was doing, looked me in the eye, and said, "You're not good enough for that job." While Becky is well known in certain circles for speaking in disparaging terms about Black and brown women, Her sense of entitlement to publicly judge my worth still caught me off guard. Throughout my 20-year career, I have built coalitions transforming ideas into policy. I have organized and mobilized grassroots to hold government accountable. I have shaped the political landscape through electoral campaigns across 5 states. I have earned multiple advanced degrees. I have spearheaded positions across the advocacy spectrum and at every level of government. I was selected by America's first woman presidential nominee to place her name into nomination on a national stage. Yet through the gaze of mediocrity, privilege, and racism, I was still not good enough. The learning point for you is to understand no matter what you achieve, no matter how much talent you possess, the world is full of Beckys who will sneer at you, belittle you, and seek to make you feel unworthy when they are not even half of you. They do not possess your talent nor your ambition. I am here to remind you, or for some, tell you for the first time, that you are enough. You are deserving of all good things. For much of my life, I checked boxes that validated my existence and hid my insecurities. Checked boxes became my armor in a world that assaulted me with messages that I was not enough. And I've learned in my journey that those boxes forced me to shut down parts of who I was in order to live with the privilege of an unmarked existence. No more boxes and no more chasing check marks. They do not define us, and they do not indicate our worth. Our value is rooted deep within our souls, far from the superficial metrics of society. In future chapters of your life story, there will be pages reflecting deep isolation, sorrow, and insecurity. Remember to write on each line of those pages that you are enough. Your ideas and your dreams matter. You matter, and you will make a difference. Wings, lessons about faith in self, failure, and moving forward so you can fly. Lesson 3, claim your space. I'm not supposed to be here, yet here I stand, not in spite of my experiences, but because of them. I have earned every battle scar to claim my space. As I shared, I collected check boxes because I thought that they were the gatekeepers to acceptance, the tools I dug with in search of validation to prove that I belonged. But I learned that my accolades had nothing to do with my right to exist and claim my space. I remember a conversation I had with Becky. She confided in me that she didn't like sitting next to Black women on the subway because, quote, they took up too much space. Given we were in a public location, I had to make the split-second decision many people of color have to make when we find ourselves in these situations. I wasn't about to catch a case over Becky, and ever thankful to my military discipline, put on my sociologist hat and asked her to explain herself. She replied with the confidence that runs deep with entitlement, because they don't make room for me. I remember the sense of awe that washed over me as I processed. A 300-pound white woman complained to me that Black women not accommodating her obesity were the problem, and not her entitlement, and not her racism. As you move forward in life and in your career, you will find there are many people who make you feel like you are the problem and feel entitled to take your space, to push you out, to minimize you, to render you invisible. Do not let them. Do not shrink yourself to accommodate existing power structures. Do not hide in the shadows and dim the brilliance of your light. Your existence, the space you take up in the world, does not depend on anyone's permission but your own. In a world that desperately tries to erase you, know that you are not invisible. Know that you are seen and lifted up by the prayers of the ancestors. Know that you are loved and you are celebrated. Claim your space. Lesson 4, fail forward. Life will beat you sometimes. Every one of you has the training and talent to succeed, but do you have the courage to fail? I have failed miserably, deeply, and often in life. But I have learned that wrapped around the sting of defeat, there is always a lesson that can lead us towards the achievement of our life goals. I was kicked out of my second graduate program after my first semester. I was devastated. I had uprooted my life, crossed state lines, and placed my faith in my academic acumen to succeed. But I failed because I received a B- in a class that I was required to receive at least a B, because I couldn't figure out my work-school balance in time, because I didn't do what I had to do in order to succeed. And that was on me. As a result, I had to decide how I was going to face my failure. I could fall down, or I could fail forward. Should I give up on my dream of pursuing my educational goals, or embrace my failure, figure out the lesson, and live like I learned it? I decided to fail forward. Succumbing to the woe is me mindset and looking for circumstances to blame is the easy route. Nonetheless, it is a route that will lead you nowhere at best and into dark places that offer no escape at worst. Holding ourselves accountable for our failures paves a new path that leads us deeper into our journey, and it is our failures that will light the way. In closing, every life speaks to the power of what can be done. I am proof of that. My life, that I was born where I was born, in the time that I was, and have been able to do what I have done, speaks to the possibility. Not that I am special, but that it can be done. Life is short, even on our longest days. So when it is time for you to leave this earth, make sure that it matters you were here. Know what sparks the light in you so you can illuminate the world. I wish you joy. I wish you curiosity. I wish you mistakes to learn from. Thank you for being brave and writing your own stories, knowing that you are enough, claiming your space, and failing forward. These lessons will serve you well in the journey ahead and live more fully a life of purpose with roots and wings. Thank you.